The Notebook by Nicholas Sparks. The summer before Noah Calhoun was going to start working for his father's company, he decided that he wanted to do one last hurrah, one last crazy thing, and that was to ask out Allie Hamilton, the most beautiful girl in town, a girl who had everything he didn't. See, Noah was poor. He had no money. He worked in his father's mill, a job that paid him almost nothing. And Allie was rich. She came from an old money family who owned most of the town. In fact, her family had made a fortune off of Noah's family's work. So right away, there was this huge class difference between them. But Noah Calhoun didn't care. When he saw Allie across the crowded room at a party, he walked up to her, introduced himself, and asked her out. Allie was kind of shocked that someone like Noah would want to date her, but she liked him, so she said yes. They started dating that summer, and it was the best summer of Noah's life. He was in love with a beautiful girl, and for the first time in his life, he felt like he was on top of the world. Unfortunately, that feeling didn't last very long. Soon, Allie's parents found out about their relationship, and they were not happy. Her mother told her that Noah wasn't good enough for her, that he didn't come from the right side of the tracks, and after that, she forbade Allie from seeing him again. But Allie was in love with Noah, and she wasn't going to let some petty class difference keep them apart. She told her mother that she would marry Noah if that's what it took to be with him. And then she ran away from home. Sadly, though, her mother was right. Noah wasn't good enough for Allie. He was poor and uneducated, and compared to Allie's wealthy, sophisticated family, he really didn't stand a chance. Eventually, Allie grew tired of his ways and broke up with him. After that, Noah enlisted in the army and went off to fight in World War II. Years passed and Noah returned home, but he never forgot about Allie. One day, he decided to visit her, but when he showed up at her house, he found out that she wasn't there. Instead, he met her mother, who told him that Allie had left town years ago. She didn't know where she was or if she was even still alive, so Noah was heartbroken. He spent the next 14 years searching for her, but he couldn't find any trace of her. Meanwhile, Allie grew up and became a famous writer. After the war, she returned to her hometown and reconnected with her childhood sweetheart, Lon. He was a handsome pilot who had just returned home from the war. And while she did love him, she never forgot about Noah, the poor boy who had captured her heart all those years ago. Whenever she thought about him, she felt a deep sense of sadness and regret. One night, she had a dream about Noah. She saw him standing in front of her, just like she had seen him all those years ago. And he looked just as handsome as she remembered. When she woke up, she couldn't get him off her mind. She kept thinking about him all day, and it made her realize that she had made a big mistake breaking up with him. She had recently lost her grandmother and inherited a lot of money. She was also getting married to a man she didn't really love, so she had nothing to lose. She decided to leave town and go find Noah. She didn't know where he was or if he was even still alive, but she was determined to find him. She drove around the countryside for hours, and eventually she came across a small cottage that looked familiar. As she approached the house, she saw a man sitting on the porch, and when she got closer, she realized that it was Noah. He was just as handsome as she remembered, and he was even more charming. When he saw Allie, he was shocked. He couldn't believe that she had come back. They spent the whole day talking and catching up, and it was like no time had passed at all. They talked about their lives, their dreams, and their families. And Allie told Noah that she was getting married. She was so ashamed of herself for being with another man. She could barely look him in the eyes. Noah was heartbroken when he heard that Allie was getting married, but he didn't want to stop her from being happy. So he did something amazing. Before she left, she gave him a box and told him to open it only when she was gone. Then she left town without saying goodbye. For a moment, Noah felt like his life was complete. He was finally free from the guilt and shame that had been holding him back for so many years. But then he opened the box that Allie had given him, and inside was a diary. It was filled with Allie's memories of their summer together, and it brought back all the feelings of love and longing that he had for her. As he read through the diary, he realized that he still loved Allie, and he always had. Even after all these years, his love for her had only grown stronger. He knew that she was getting married, but he couldn't help but hope that she would change her mind. He spent the next few days reading through Allie's diary, and it gave him a new perspective on their relationship. He realized that he had been holding on to his anger and resentment for all these years, and it had blinded him to the love that Allie had for him. He knew that he needed to let go of the past and move on with his life. but he couldn't bring himself to do it. One night, he was reading through Allie's diary, and he came across a passage that made him realize how much he had changed. In it, Allie wrote about how Noah had taught her to see the beauty in everyday things, and how he had shown her that love was the most important thing in life. He had been so focused on his anger and resentment, he had forgotten all the good times they had shared together. He got up and walked over to the window. He looked out at the stars and thought about Allie. He knew that she was probably happy with her life, and that was all that mattered. He had to let her go. With a heavy heart, Noah put down the diary and went to bed. The next morning, he woke up early and went for a walk in the woods. As he walked, he thought about Allie and how much he loved her. He knew that he had to let her go, but it was so hard. He had spent so much of his life searching for her, and now she was finally in his life again, and he didn't want her to leave. Suddenly, he came across a clearing, and in the middle of it was a beautiful lake. The sun was shining, the birds were singing, and it was the perfect spot for a picnic. Noah sat down on a nearby log and pulled out a blanket. He lay down on the blanket and closed his eyes. As he lay there, he thought about Allie and all the good times they had shared together. He remembered their first date, their first kiss, and all the promises they had made to each other. He knew that she was getting married, but he couldn't help but hope that she would change her mind. Maybe she wasn't really in love with her fiancé. Maybe she still had feelings for him. Just then, Noah heard a voice behind him. "Are you Noah?" He opened his eyes and saw a woman standing in front of him. "I'm Allie." Noah couldn't believe his ears. Was this really happening? Was Allie here? All of a sudden, Allie fell to her knees and started crying. "Why didn't you write to me? Why did you leave me?" Noah was shocked. He had never seen Allie like this before. She was usually so strong and independent, but now she was weak and vulnerable. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I just thought you were better off without me." Allie looked up at Noah and her eyes filled with tears. "No, I never stopped loving you. I thought about you every day for the past 14 years. They sat there in silence for a moment, just staring at each other. Then Allie stood up and walked over to Noah. She threw her arms around him and hugged him tightly. "I'm so glad you're back," she whispered. At that moment, Noah knew that he would never let Allie go again. He held her close and promised to love her forever. They stayed in each other's arms for what felt like hours, and when they finally pulled away, Noah looked into Allie's eyes and said, "I love you." Allie smiled through her tears and replied, "I love you too." And that's the end of the story. If you liked this video, please subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.